Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. Punch down. How is everyone doing today? Just enjoying some good music. I really do think this is some good music. Anyone remember Madness Combat? It was from a little site in the early 2000s called newgrounds.com. If you are asking the question, what's a Newgrounds? You missed out on something pretty cool. The Flash animations, the music portal. There was millions of custom music that people would upload, and it was pretty cool. I know it sounds really lame of me, but I listened to mostly like the stuff that was considered a sort of gothic vampire music. Though, honestly, mentioning that word to people nowadays, they won't think of what it was back then. Honestly, it was very different from what those words seem to be associated with now. It's more the music. Imagine trap music. Basically, very deep bass, ambient dubstep. Think kind of like dubstep, but deeper, more ambient, more like classical music, more mood music rather than the crazy energetic stuff. Then again, most people would consider dubstep an older genre too. It was a type of music that existed before dubstep, and it was much more melodic and more trance-like. It's more so the kind of music you'd sort of just zone out to, whereas most dubstep's like stuff that you would imagine people, being very energetic to. I don't know. I only regret that I don't have the music from back then to listen to myself or to play for you as an example. Heck, I have vague memories of certain songs that were really good that I'm pretty sure, even if I were to hop on Newgrounds and try to actively look for it, I don't think I could ever find it. Lost in a sea of millions and millions of songs. Just saying, on a website that allows millions of people to make independent music, there are some people out there you can truly stumble across some amazing music. Let's continue the story. Watch my little rocket ship lagging around. Everyone's like, why is your computer lagging on a visual novel? And the answer is, I don't know, everything I seem to do is scuff. There was no high quality here, only scuff. If anything, it might be better this way. I'd argue the ending is the most important part of the book, as I'm sure you'll come to agree. And this way, it will be fresh in both our minds. Just give me a second to go to the bathroom, and then we can get started. By the time I take my seat and fish out my copy of The Stranger, Emil has already made his way back to me. After a brief acknowledgement of his presence, he sits down across from me and begins reading. The technique that the author uses is remarkable. He writes in such a way, although Assault is detached, he's still quite relatable. We're just distracting ourselves, Emil. While he is technically the protagonist and is clearly in a pitiable situation, I can't say he doesn't deserve what happened to him. Tell me, what do you think Marisalt's greatest sin was? I see, siding with the people then. I agree to an extent. I'm having trouble recalling a single moment of the work where he chooses other people's needs over his own desires. It's a bit childish in a way. After all, he is a grown man. He should know that sometimes you have to play the game. You cannot live a fulfilling life on carnal pleasures alone. Smoking, drinking, and sex can only get you so far. You need to have some sort of meaningful connection with the people around you. When that old man's dog disappeared, Marisol made zero attempts to comfort him. It told me everything I needed to know about his character. Even if your sympathy is fake, you should still act on it. Relating to others is how you form connections, after all. And as social creatures, connections are what give our lives meaning. They are what help us reach out and find the truth. Marisol should know this, and likely does, but feigns ignorance in the pursuit of his own desires. It's not something worthy of death in of itself, but even as Marisol implies, it is a lifestyle that can ultimately lead to an early death. My question might have been a bit too reductive, though. I think our hero's fate can be ascribed to a conflux of different factors rather than just one fault he might have as a person. The reality is Marisol is a man of many sins, so trying to narrow it down to one great sin is probably impossible for us. The only one who would know the true extent of his sins would be Marisol himself, or in this case, the author. I doubt outsiders like us are adequate judges. Still, it makes for a fun discussion. I'm glad Judith was kind enough to recommend this one to us. Emil holds up the book in his hand and smiles. As always, she has remarkable taste. I suppose it's no surprise that her preferred reading material turned out to be so divine. It's a rather grim subject matter for such a classy woman, though. But I suppose this world of ours is full of little curiosities like that, isn't it? Emil checks his pocket watch, furrowing his brow in the process. I'm afraid we'll have to end it there, though. I didn't realize I'd kept you for so long. There are a few things I have to let you know before we depart, however. Emil gets up from his chair and leans in next to me, lowering his voice as he speaks. My hypothesis was right. The underworld is now completely barren. And I have been going in after midnight with Ashton to check for hostiles. We've scoured every square inch of that place. Unfortunately, it seems like eliminating all of them did not have an effect on what time we can actually enter. We still only have a 10-minute window after midnight. However, for the time being, I think it's safe to assume there was causality between the sudden death incidents and those monsters. So as long as things are peaceful back there, Siren's Call should also remain safe. Emil moves back from my ear, now speaking in a much more relaxed tone. I'll likely be doing some more research on that environment after you've left. There is still so much about it that we don't know. So until that opening closes for good, I'll make sure our team is both informed and safe. I know this is likely nothing you aren't already aware of, but I figured you would gain some degree of comfort hearing this information from me directly. Especially considering recent accusations regarding your actions. Emil bites his lip and breathes out a heavy sigh. About that, by the way, I'm willing to observe if Violet's claims have any merit. If there is an observable negative change in the population, I will do my best to record it and report my findings. I will even take steps to reverse it, if that's possible. However, I don't know how much more time I have to gather data before the locker shuts itself forever. So for the time being, I will prioritize my field research. I don't know if you two are still together, but if you see her today, would you kindly let her know that I'm willing to be amicable about this, even after her assertions or assertions? Emil grabs my shoulder and stares intensely at me, as if his eyes were a shovel, digging into wet soil. Know this, even in your absence we will keep this town safe. And no matter what is said, or what ends up happening, we will keep you safe. You have nothing to worry about. Emil pulls away and smiles. We should probably return our books now, seeing as you're not going to be back here for a while. Shall we then? We place our copies of The Stranger on the front desk, thank the librarian who smiles absent-mindedly as she accepts our returns. Emil, now likely done with his session at the library, escorts me into the lobby. Well, it looks like this is it, for now at least. There's still so much I'd like to discuss, but I suppose it's best for us to wait until your next visit. In the meantime, I will do my best to act as your viceroy. If anything of note occurs in your absence, you can trust me to mail you the details as soon as possible. Emma walks over and shakes my hand, giving me his pocket watch in the process. Thank you for the great discussions. I acknowledge Emil's sincerity with a reassuring thumbs up. I'll see you soon. Stay sharp. It's later than you think it is. Hey there, Oliver. Lovely weather we're having today, huh?